Excellent. Okay. Right. Good afternoon, guys. It's Sean here, back at the Shankly's Boot Room again with another video. And thanks so much for you that tuned into my pre-match PSG game stream. I really appreciate that. And yeah, so we're in the early days. I'm in the early days, of course, with YouTube. Much like my guest today, really. We started very similar time. I think, Damon, you started. This is Damon, of course, from Talking Reds, by the way, guys. If you've not met him, I'm going to leave a I'm going to leave his channel in the description below for you to go and subscribe to him and follow him as well, because that's what we do around here. Yeah, Damon, when did you start your channel? Probably about, was it September
October
last
now.
year or
October, yeah, late October, November. I
Yeah,
left LFC Transroom, but I wasn't going to start my own channel, but I thought, you know what, why not? So late October, November, early November, start my own channel. Yeah, it's been a good journey so far. Yeah, I've been enjoying it.
yeah, brilliant. No, it's great. And I think I was December the 18th or something. I was right near Christmas when I started mine. What time to start it? But yeah, and yeah, it's been growing steadily. Um, One of the things, of course, is when you with the way YouTube works, is you tend to sort of start out very much at the bottom of the run in terms of the algorithm and everything. So a lot of people don't even get to see you in the beginning, but until the subscribers go up and all that kind of thing.
They don't
And
see
as
the
we
hard
know,
work. They don't see the hard work at the
no,
beginning bit.
no,
No,
no, no.
yeah.
A lot goes into this. It really does. Smooth that down a little bit. Yeah, it goes. A lot goes into it, and just preparing videos, coming up with ideas, speaking about what you want to speak about, and with that in mind, I think it'd be a great place for us to start with yesterday. What a game! PSG. What a just I would never have fathomed. I actually predicted. I'll show you how. I'll tell you how I predicted the game to go. I thought we'd probably at best get a draw. Is how I thought. I'm quite pessimistic at times, but the main thing, what I did say was, though, that I felt that over the two legs, and I still maintain this, experience will be the telling factor. Because although PSG are a pretty good side, well, really good side, they're on a new journey, if you like.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
see,
yeah.
now with our team, we've got a lot of uh, we've got world class players, but also a lot of experience. So we've won the league before with some of these players. Most of our players are captains in their countries, etc., etc. So we've got a huge amount of experience in our team, and I think that does play a factor. And as we'll go on to speak about, I think that plays out a little bit in the second half as well, that experience. But how did you think of it overall, the game, Damon?
Wow. What can I say? I'm not used to watching Liverpool play like that, to the point where it's normally us that batter teams and somehow the team hangs on to a draw or somehow gets a win. I mean, the Forest game is a perfect game to go back on.
Yeah.
But that it was nice to see Liverpool on the other end of that get battered. Yeah, it just felt like it was just onslaught after onslaught from PSG. Second half, I thought, come on, Liverpool, I need to see something now. At half time, TikTok Slot's going to come out and he's going to have a go at them for that, because that was terrible first half. We didn't see out. We didn't see out again. It was the same second half. They just carried it on, and it's made me think about the second leg, a little bit more than what I would have done. I did a preview for the game. I said it'd be 2-2, but I thought PSG need to win tonight because it's Anfield second leg. You can't go there on a European night. It's impossible sometimes. We've seen the best of the best crumble. Even against poor Liverpool sides, seen the best of the best. But now I'm thinking the way PSG play, they can play like that again. And I think that 1-0, I don't know what suits us more, 1-0 or 0-0, because 1-0 we can get quite complacent. If it 0-0, if it were 0-0 going to the second leg, we've got to go and score. Does that make sense? At 1-0,
Yes. Yeah.
we don't have to. So does that play into PSG's hands a little bit? I don't know. What do you think of that?
I think my thinking is, I think with the manager we have, and I think going back to the experience a little bit with the team, I don't think they'll let that happen, because they do know just how amazing they are with the firepower and everything. So I don't think we'll go into it, sort of like, just try and hold. Well, I hope we don't anyway, go into it with just the hold on mentality again now, because I do think we need to express ourselves a bit more. We need to get a bit further up the pitch. And we definitely in the final third need to get our progressive balls to their intended targets. Because when we started the game, we actually started not that bad. For the first 10 minutes, we were knocking some long balls up, but they were mainly getting up there. We were causing them, but I've noticed they just made a few adjustments in midfield. And then from then on, they just dominated the whole game from midfield through to the attack. Just total domination, really. But what was your thoughts on Trent? Because you and I are quite similar in our thinking on him from our chats that we've had before. That we yeah, he's been a great player for us. But sometimes defensively, he's really left wanting. But I thought he'd done pretty well with some really tricky players there. I mean, Barcola to start with, that I thought he'd done really well with. I think he had a bit more trouble with Cavastrellia. That's the right way to pronounce his name. But he still dealt with him. If he didn't get him the first time, he would very often double back and get round and try and cover up and all the rest of it and try to keep. I mean, I know he still had shots at goal, and which was the theme from quite a few of the players. But what was your thoughts on his performance?
This whole Trent can't defend thing, I've always shut down this narrative. It's always rivals that are pushing it. What's been letting Trent down recently is over the years is mainly systems. I think the system under Jurgen Klopp, it pushed him way too high. He was always going to be exposed at the back. When we hadn't got a CDM there covering, when Fabinho left, it showed massively that we hadn't got anyone to cover that area. But he can defend. It's nights like this which it proves that he can defend against the best in the world. Sparkle is absolutely class. Kvaratskhelia is absolutely class. He didn't really pocket them, but he did a very, very good job against them. He's done this before, though. He's pocketed Sane in the Champions League. He's done well against Messi. He's done well against Mbappe at times. So it is. Oh, he didn't play against Mbappe, did he? Bradley won it against Mbappe. But he has played against the top wingers before. And it goes unnoticed. And when he does make mistakes, it's highlighted bigger than anyone. You talk about the likes of Walker and things like that. Walker makes mistakes constantly, but he doesn't get highlighted the way Trent does. When Trent makes a mistake, it's on X, it's on Twitter straight away, and you'll know about it. Everyone will tell you about it. This guy last night put in a performance that will go unnoticed again because of Alisson Becker's performance.
Yeah.
But rivals won't want to talk about Trent's performance because it doesn't suit that he can't defend narrative.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I quite agree with you. And just to speak a little bit about the midfield, because there's something which I picked up on, and I don't know if you did, but this is the kind of game that classically shows up our need for, and this is no disrespect to Gravenberch at all, because all of us fans, we love him. We think he's had a magnificent season, considering he's not actually a natural six. But what I think it did expose was the need of a natural six. Because most of our players have a more attacking mentality, let's be honest about it. They've got elements and things to their game that are amazing, and they sort of come together, and they're not just only pretty good at one thing, they're good at several things. And I've got no problems with that with our midfield, but I still think we need a six. I really do. To just protect. And I think it showed up when Gravenberch went off and Endo came on. We suddenly had a bit more control. We were able to get the ball a bit more further forward. And because there's a natural six, he's putting out fires everywhere. And it just allowed us to progress that bit more. And I think with Gravenberch, although he can play the six, and I think for probably the majority of our games through a season, that's fine. But in these big games like this, a natural six is probably. Do you agree with that, or am I
you're talking to the right person. I've been banging about this for a long time, and that's nothing against Gravenberch. Gravenberch himself had an interview the other week and said he's an 8. They said what are you, a 6 or an 8? He said I'm an 8, but I'm willing to adapt. I've got abilities to adapt, and a player like Gravenberch, such a brilliant midfielder, right, can play all those positions. He can probably play 10, 8, 6. That's what midfielders do. Midfielders have the brain to do that. They have the attributes to do that. Steven Gerrard could play anywhere on the pitch because midfielders have that attribute to slot in. Gravenberch was simply a saviour for the club, His ability to adapt to that 6 role. I said it the other day. I did a stream on Gravenberch specifically, and his ability and his brains to adapt to that role has saved the club massively. Because what it's done is if he couldn't do that, then us not getting a 6 last summer would have absolutely killed us. absolutely killed us. And we still need to go get a 6 because he's still an 8. I still want to see him in his best position. And we're seeing that now as the season's gone, and he's been sensational in that position. But he wants to get forward. You can tell he wants to get forward. There's gaps. A lot of goals that we've conceded is in that area where the midfielders are running from midfield and that late runs to the box, and that's where sixes cover. And he's not usually there. He hasn't got the mind of a 6. That a defensive mind of a 6 is an attacking minded player. However, what he has done this season cannot go under the radar either because he's been our most important player. Because without him, the whole system doesn't work. Without someone that can play that 6th position, the whole system don't work. It's exactly the same with Fabinho. The 6th role is one of the most important roles in football. And we're seeing last night how important it is.
And I think that probably would have, if we'd, I'm not saying to necessarily that we had to start with Endo yesterday, but I just feel that little bit more protection that might not have been so dominant. They wouldn't have been so dominant as they were in the midfield, because they were so dominant there, and that of course then sprayed out into their forward players. But yeah, well, I guess we have to speak about Alisson because to have given such an incredible performance like that, we have to mention it. I mean, I'll get your thoughts on it, but I mean, a little while ago when he first came back, he was looking a little bit, and I think it's just mainly because he'd just come back from an injury, and I think it's actually similar with Jota. I think Jota's just not there yet in terms of got up to speed. Some players take longer. I remember when Matip used to get injured, he'd come back after quite a long spell out, and he'd come in and just go straight into the team, and it's like he'd never been away. You think, why is that? That's amazing. But not every player can do that, and I think when Alisson came back from his injury, from his hamstring injury, he took a while to get back into it. But there was a lot of calls at that time that, we should be playing with Kelleher, we should be playing with Kelleher. But I think last night is just a classic example of he proved just what a class, best in the world keeper he is. Would you agree?
He's unbelievable. We're not going to realise how good he is until he's gone, Sorry. The Mamardashvili signing still to this day does not make any sense at all. Because if this guy's coming in wanting to be number one, he's got absolutely no chance. He's got absolutely no chance. And he's going to get frustrated that he's not number one. Because he's quite clearly that he wants to be number one. He's coming in to be number one. He said that himself. And he's going to find it so frustrating if Slot doesn't pick him. Because you can't replace Alisson. And you mentioned the injury there. Some people coming back from injury. Van Dijk was a good prime example of that. Van Dijk didn't come back the same. The first year or so after his big injury, he wasn't the same Van Dijk. Now we're seeing the best in the world again.
Yeah.
Now we've got over that injury fully. We see the best in the world again. Some people just don't do it, especially the ones that don't get usually injured. They're the ones that sort of come back a bit off. I mean, Matip got injured every week, so it doesn't surprise me that he comes back straight on because it's just natural progression. But yeah, Alisson Becker, I think we've got to. This guy's number one in the world. We've got to keep him as long as we can. If we let this guy go, it'd be one of the biggest mistakes. It'd be on par with Salah, letting Salah and Van Dijk go.
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally. I really agree with you totally. Just to move on to another thing that came up in the game, which is the red card shout for the Konate on Barcola, wasn't it? Did you think that was a red card, or what was your thoughts on that? In that challenge?
It was a silly challenge to make. I'll put it that way. If it's shoulder to shoulder, it's absolutely fine. Look, it's just strength over strength. But when it's going through the back of someone, which that was, then I'd be aggrieved. If it was against Liverpool, I'd be very aggrieved. I don't think it was a penalty because I think the initial contact was outside the box. Red card. All depends if they could get the ball in it, really, because Alisson got the ball in the end. It's hard to say because it could be seen as a red card because it was last man, but it depends if he had a chance of getting the ball. Potentially, I don't know. But yeah, I think as a Liverpool fan, I'd have been aggrieved at that. If I'm honest, I would. Just because the way it came from him, it didn't come to the side, was it? It mainly through the back.
Through the back of him, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, a few weeks ago, we had the same in the Everton game with Konate, being I know it was in the air, but that was also from behind it. We were shouting for
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got to keep the
for a
same
foul
energy.
there. So
Yeah.
we had the same energy on that. So yeah, we probably did get away with that one. And lots of people are saying it was a lucky game and all this kind of stuff. But I mean, obviously, Slot sent us out. I don't know whether he sent us out to be that defensive, but he sent us out to be fairly defensive, obviously. And I don't know whether the players took that a bit too much on because we were so defensive. In the second half, he pushed us up a bit, and he obviously wasn't happy that we were just being too, you know, we were obviously not giving a threat in the other direction and all the rest of it. Um, so obviously, in the first half, we get really battered. No two ways about that. Second half, same story to a certain point. But as the game was going on, I don't know if you picked up on this, but they started to get nervous. They started to get a bit rash with their like shots and stuff like that. So they were shooting from much further out, and even Dembele was hitting balls off the side of his foot, and they were spiraling off, and all this kind of thing. They were getting desperate, basically, really. And I think this is what I meant in my pre-match conversation when I was talking about, I think, experience will tell in this over these two legs in the end, because we were quite calm still, even though it was 0-0 and we were facing all this barrage of attacks. We were still pretty calm. Slot then makes his uh, substitutions, which I think were brilliant substitutions, by the way. But did you pick up on that? Did you pick up on that slight seed change in the game? The crowd got a bit more nervous, the players got a bit more nervous, and they started to do things which they weren't doing earlier in the game.
Mm. The best teams in the world, the ones that win, the likes of Man City, the likes of us, that's of Real Madrid, they keep to their plan and they don't panic. They stick to it. Then under Slot, we've done it. Under Young Klopp, we used to do it. Is keep to that same plan and play the same way all the way through. Be calm. We're much more calm under Slot. I think we're much more controlled. That's where, like you said, experience is absolutely key. PSG were rushing shots. They started playing different football. If they had that calmness about them, I think they'd have won the game. But because they didn't, I think we sniffed that as well. I think Slot sniffed that nerves and thought the substitutions are spot on, right time, and that sort of. I think Slot probably saw the win, in the end, because PSG were just throwing everything at it, and they're running out of ideas. It seemed to run out of ideas. They didn't seem to play the same as they did all game. I think Slot sniffed that sort of chance here. He sniffed a chance, and he put the right players on at the right time. Got Nunes on, getting behind the players, getting behind the high line, and try and work a chance. And that's what happened. And we took it for smash and grab, wasn't it? Basically smash and grab.
Yeah,
But I
and
think a lot changed. A lot changed in play last night. I think, like I said, in the first 10 minutes we were pretty decent. We were all right in the first 10 minutes. But I don't think Slot set up defensively. I think the players naturally dropped back defensively. I think McAllister saw that Gravenberch was overworked and just dropped back himself, and he sacrificed his whole game last night, McAllister.
yeah,
For that.
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I do. I agree with you there. What was great for me as well to see was that with Nunes when he came on, he obviously was putting himself a bit. He had that earlier sort of set two with Donnarumma, the goalkeeper, although it was
Mm.
actually his own defender that sort of injured him more than well, not injured him really, but clattered with him
Yeah.
than Nunes did. But he was there. He was putting that harassment on, and as I say, it was a great, as you say, great substitutions from that point of view because they were getting a bit more nervous, a little bit more frustrated. So you bring someone like a Nunes on, and but the big thing with him that I really really was happy about was he didn't just shoot when he had that
Yeah.
ball
Yeah.
and controlled it. He laid it off perfect timing to Harvey Elliott, who goes through and scores. I still think the keeper probably should have saved that. Actually, looking back on it a couple of times, but I'm so pleased he didn't. And that's the difference of the two goalkeepers, of course. But what did you make of the Nunes and Elliott? Because obviously we saw in the FA Cup they had stinkers. Elliot was interviewed before the match actually, and he said, I'm classified really as one of the most experienced players here today because obviously quite a lot of young players in the team. And he actually went out and gave quite a stinker, and we haven't seen him since. So, but Slot being Slot, he must have seen that this is the time for me to bring him on. We want to get this goal, bring him on. The progressional forward part of his game is his strongest part. Maybe he can do something for us. But what did you think of those subs?
I think he was the perfect sub for the game it was in and the team that we were playing at the time that we were playing. I wouldn't have started him, and I think he did right not starting him. I thought Jota was like one of a very, very few that played okay in the first half. I mean, his runs was causing a bit of problems, got a few fouls. But Nunes at that time, when the PSG players were tired, were running out of ideas, getting frustrated, and that high line that they were playing, it was perfect to bring Nunes on at that time. And his pacing behind the fact that he'll just try win every ball, and he exactly did. I mean, he got a bit lucky with the goal in terms of winning the ball, but that's the effort that he put in. He put in the effort. He got there first. He won a duel, won a 50-50, got the ball. And that calmness is all we've been asking for Nunes for a long, long time. His composure. He's never had the composure. And strikers have
Right, yeah.
composure is like the most natural thing a striker should have.
Mm.
If you don't have composure,
Yeah,
you shouldn't be a striker. But that composure there
I
at the
think
end was perfect.
yeah, I think ultimately with him, he doesn't have the IQ. I think with Nunes, I just don't think he has that ability to think.
Mm,
This is why we had him offside all the time, and that's a guy not
mm.
thinking when you're always continuously offside, and yet you're a forward. They've been playing from kids growing up. But in fairness to him last night, I thought he did very, very well. He came on, made himself. He was very physical, went on a few runs. Obviously, the layoff was brilliant um, to Elliot, and he scores. And I really, I'm so happy for Elliot because he's had to really bide his time and wait. In the previous game, when Slot brought on Curtis Jones, it's like kind of like as if to say, am I ever going to come on here in any of these games? Glad it worked out for him yesterday. I really, really. So I mean, so we smash and grab, as you said earlier. We take it back to Anfield now. We'll play a similar way or the same way, or do you think that or do you feel like we'll probably play slightly differently? Maybe have a more of a mid block and look to attack
We've
from
got to
there.
play differently. We've got to play differently. If we don't play differently to last night, we're playing a very, very dangerous game. Because if we play the exact same way
Yeah,
last night, that defensive sort of way, and PSG play that again, they're not going to miss any chances this time. They're not going to go 2 games with missing chances. They might do, but you're just playing with fire if you're doing that. We need to go out and play the way we play. Go out, go get a goal, go get a goal or two, finish the tie, and get through. We've got to start playing
yeah.
the way we play now. We need to go attacking last. Maybe play Endo. I don't know about playing Endo, but yeah, we shouldn't really play differently to how we've been playing in the league. Really, the Man City,
Right.
the Newcastle game, and we need to be on the front foot. If we're not on the front foot, then we're going to find it difficult, And this is why I think the 1-0 could be slightly worse than 0-0. I know it sounds mad, but it just in terms of like we don't need a goal.
Mm. Yeah, I mean there is that to it. Yeah, I'm just hoping that they think to themselves, yeah, we're 1-0 up, but this is PSG who, absolutely battered us last week. We don't want the same again this week. But I think for me, I agree with you. We must play that way. And there's a little bit of some signs actually from the game last night that we got ourselves into a few positions there. You probably obviously noticed it, where just a better pass, just a better
Mm.
ball over the top. Sometimes the passes were too short. Sometimes the balls were a bit overhit. If we can get that right, we can get in behind them anyway. We had a couple of opportunities for 2-on-1s, 1-on-1s, etc. So it could have even been a much different game last night had we. I know they come more towards the sort of middle of the second half onwards, but those opportunities. But I'm just thinking, that's something we could actually do, isn't it, in this game as well, in the Anfield game?
I think Gakpo coming back would be key
Yeah,
because he makes better decisions than Diaz does. I'm not just singling out Diaz because Salah last night made poor decisions. There were certain times he had the ball on the right wing, he just gave the ball to up too easily. His pass was poor. But Diaz, I think Diaz decision makings are really, really bad. They're not as bad as Nunes sometimes, but they're really bad. I prefer Gakpo there because Gakpo, I think, will cause them problems because he knows how to
did you
make.
see? Did you see Nunez last night when he was running offside and asking? I think it was Jota was going down the going down the going down the wing there, and he was calling for it, but he was way offside. Did you see that one? Did you see that moment? I
That's
thought
the
to
way you
myself, what
said
are you
it earlier.
doing?
You don't think, you don't
No,
think.
he
That's
just
why he's
took the
always
big
offside.
run.
'Cause I don't think he realizes where he's on pitch sometimes.
Mm, mm,
It is
mm.
a football IQ
And
thing. That yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see what's going to happen on that. I mean, we've been on 25 minutes. I don't know if you want to just quickly, briefly go over the summer, or we can meet again another time if you're
Absolutely. A few
fine.
minutes, yeah, a few minutes of going down summer.
Yeah,
There's not
yeah.
much to talk about. We ain't going to buy anyone.
No, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So looking ahead to the summer's very, very interesting because we obviously have these three contracts, which are still at this moment, we don't know what's happening. And most of the fan bases, I think, probably including myself, I think probably you as well, are thinking probably Salah and um, Van Dijk stay, with probably um, Trent going in the other direction, really, to be honest. But looking ahead to the summer, where are the areas you feel we need to strengthen? And how much movement do you actually? I mean, there seems to be a lot of talk at the moment. There's going to be sort of like this big wave of a lot of people, a lot of players going out, a lot of players coming in. So where do you sit on that?
It depends if Slot gets his way or not. If Slot gets his way, I think we move out Diaz and Nunes, potentially Jota. I think we move out Simicast. I think we move out Martin. I think we move out Endo. I think we move out potentially Gomez. Maybe potentially Gomez. Who knows? Because he's injury prone, really bad. Also, we move out Kelleher. If the Slot gets his way, I think we'll get a left back, a centre back. I think he still wants a DM, a striker, and a left winger. But it's very rare Slot our manager gets the way in terms of what we actually fully need. We're always left short under FSG. So those three contracts are still there. Though, if them three go, that throws the whole summer plans in the air because we need a new right winger. We need another centre back.
Yeah,
Um, that just makes everything 10 times harder. It really does. It really does because we're not. I don't think we're going to address every issue that we've got. I think it's quite clear Slot don't like certain players. They don't like Nunes. They don't like Endo. They don't like Martin. They don't like Quanta. They're the players that I will want to strengthen. I think left back's an absolute cert, especially the recent links to Kirkes. Striker seems a cert at the moment because of Nunes leaving. Other than that, we need a DM, mate. We need a DM, definitely. I want a DM. I went to replace
yeah,
Fabinho since he's gone. It might be a different type of DM, but we still need a defensive-minded player. Gravenberch is not a
yeah,
defensive-minded player. Gravenberch needs to play at number 8.
definitely.
We need
Mm,
to see him in his best position. But yeah, it could be a mad summer. Could be a mad summer. I'm happy to let Diaz go as well because he hasn't improved again. He's brilliant at the start of the season, but now he's gone back to his old ways where his decision making's poor, he's predictable, he's very, very predictable. You saw last night the wingers that they had, Kvaratskhelia, Barcola and Dembele. We didn't know what they were going to do with the ball. We had no idea. With Diaz, it's so easy. You know what he's going to do.
yeah,
You know what he's going to do. And that's why he's easy to defend against.
mm,
Yeah, it is a big, big summer.
yeah,
But
yeah. Mm. There's been talk of Slot signing a new contract. So that'll be very interesting because if we're obviously going to win the league, we all think we will win the league. Let's just say let's just say we actually managed to get the treble, right? Let's just say the treble as in the League Cup, the league and Champions League. It's a long way to go before we can talk about that really yet, but just say that happens. That will obviously give him a lot more say in a lot of things. One of the things I'm very interested in with Arnie Slot is what say he has over not the not the profile of the player, but what players come in. I feel he has to be because when he came in, it was almost put to us that as fans that he will be earmarking profile of players, and then they put the data in and go out and get them. The problem I have with that is Slot, as he's shown very, very clearly so far since he's been here, is he will not he will not play players he has no faith in or doesn't rate or doesn't feel
Chiesa
they
is a prime example.
um,
Chiesa's there signing.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Um, so I think that needs to be they need to be very careful on that because profile can be one thing, and data can be one thing, but an actual player has to be a whole package. Because one of the things, the reasons I think about Elliot, bless him, why he doesn't play so much is because some of the physical elements, and also pace and that type of thing is not his greatest. Obviously, he's a really short guy as well. That's not his fault, but he happens to be short. And but at the same time, he's also not the most aggressive in the tackle. He's not the most, all that kind of thing. His forte comes in creating for the team, getting shots off, etc., etc., etc. So you could argue that might be a reason why maybe Elliot might go. But I'm just thinking about Slot really does need to be the centre point and the centre focus of the actual players that come in. So do you think that he's going to have that though? I don't know. I mean, is it going to just be a profile thing and he just has to work with them, or?
I think that Chiesa signing could be a warning though for us, because it clearly doesn't like Chiesa. It clearly wasn't a Slot signing that, because it gave him more
No,
chances. We've seen much
no.
more. We've seen maybe even last night just for a little bit. Salah wasn't playing well at all. We haven't seen him at all. We've seen little bits, and when he has done little bits, to poor against Plymouth. He had a good moment in Champions League. Then he had a good 10 minutes in the Champions League, 10, 20 minutes in Champions League. He had a good game against P.S.G. But other than that, he hasn't really played him at all. So I think that's a warning, because yes, we're going to get Edwards signings or whatever you sign, but Slot's got to like him. And the thing is about Slot, he will not play him. We don't want him. And then with the exact same
Exactly.
problem,
Yeah, that's
with
my
the
point.
exact same problem on Dan Slot, he might say in press conferences, "Oh, I'm happy with the squad." What's he meant to say? I don't like the squad. I don't like this player. I don't like that player. They've let me down. He's not going to say that. He's not going to do that. But what he will do, he won't play him. Klopp were the
Yeah,
same. Klopp said, "Oh, he was happy with this, happy with that." But the players like Carvalho, for example, they didn't play. He won't play him. He won't play Alexis Oxlade-Chamberlain. He won't play these players. And this is why we want able to build a dynasty with Klopp, because he was just constantly let down in the transfer window. I'm hoping the same don't happen to Slot. And how many times can we get burnt? Slot has proven enough that I can build on this. That's why Kanate is looking potentially to go elsewhere, because are we willing to build on winning the league? Because we didn't do it under Klopp, really. We've got a chance to do it again. We've got a second opportunity to do this, to build a dynasty. It's up to FSG and up to the board to help Slot do that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think we covered probably much what I wanted to really speak to you about today. Really, thank you a lot for sparing some time, Damon. I know you're a busy guy, and guys, please go and support Damon. The channel's Talking Reds. I'm going to put a link in the description for him, and please go over and subscribe. He's actually embarrassing me. He's doing way more videos than I do, so he's
I'm doing all right. I'm doing
his
what I
work
can. I'm
ethic
doing
is
what I
something.
can. Doing what I can.
I'm going to get the same work ethic like you. But yeah, so yeah, just brilliant. So thanks a lot for coming on. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Absolutely,
Maybe,
mate. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
be nice in the future. Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
yeah, that's okay. Thank you. No problem. Thank you. There we go.